Hi, my name is Liliana Ramirez, and today I will be presenting on a therapy technique or therapy program that focuses in the area of language known as pragmatics. I will be specifically focusing on a therapy technique or program that focuses on establishing physical presence. This concept comes from Michelle Garcia Winner's Thinking About You, Thinking About Me. This is a program, a therapy program designed to teach children with social cognitive deficits, social thinking skills. Children who may be considered as having social cognitive deficits could be children with high functioning autism, ADHD, Asperger's syndrome, hyperlexia, and any other gray areas of social thinking. The program itself begins by discussing the idea of perspective taking. Oftentimes, individuals who do not have any social cognitive deficits have a difficult time understanding how this could be a challenge. For some of us, it is natural to take perspective and know and read social cues and understand what others want, think, and feel. However, for some of the children we serve with social cognitive deficits, this is not that obvious. So Michelle Garcia Winner begins her program by discussing this. I will briefly discuss this because this is a precursor to establishing physical presence. The program itself discusses the concept of establishing physical presence as something that must be taught after children begin to understand perspective. So the program begins by suggesting group lessons or social groups focusing on perspective taking, which can include, number one, having thoughts about others. Teaching children with social cognitive deficits that they can have thoughts about others and that their thoughts can be different. Also, their interests can vary. For example, if I'm very much into Legos, I need to be taught and be able to comprehend that because I love Legos, that does not necessarily mean that the other children in the classroom love Legos as well and want to continue talking or perseverating on that topic. Another area of perspective taking that Michelle Garcia Winner discusses is teaching children about thinking of yourself, just me, or working in a group. So she suggests teaching children that, we can either play by ourselves or be part of a group. And she does so by teaching them, modeling for them what it's like. One child will be the just me child for the day. That child will get to play any activity they want. The other children in the group will play a group activity. They will run through tunnels. They will play with a ball. This will give the child, who's the just me child, perspective on how being part of a group can also be enjoyable and there can be other opportunities for shared interest. Another concept she discussed is whole body listening. This is especially important for very young children. This means listening and demonstrating that with our bodies, not fidgeting with our hands so much that we become distracted, or with our feet. So sitting in a way that our body is demonstrating that we are listening. Simply by telling a young child this may not get the point across to them. So Michelle Garcia Winner challenges us to model this for them. She discusses how she had a group of children in a social group, turned around and started talking by giving them their bag. The children laughed. What are you doing? She was giving them their bag. She was playing with her hair. And she said, look at my body. Does my body show you that I'm listening? Also, she shows videos to children. The idea of demonstrating with visuals to children what proper whole body listening looks like is very important. In one of the videos, a child was on the rug, bottom up in the air, face down, and there was a discussion in the social group. How is it that this child is demonstrating whole body listening? Is she? And so forth. That is another point that she makes under the perspective taking chapter. Also making guesses. Making guesses, teaching children that we must make guesses on other people by searching for clues. Oftentimes, children with social cognitive deficit are unable to notice clues in people's behaviors that would lead them to make the appropriate action. So for example, somebody may be upset and they may not know they are upsetting them, or they may be annoying someone, for lack of better terms, and they may not know that. So we must explicitly teach our children to make guesses based on the clues they see, based on body language, based on words, based on expressions, as to what emotion or what needs the other communicative partner is displaying. Finally, emotions. Children with social cognitive deficits, often their emotions are changed by what others do. They may get angry, sometimes children may throw tantrums. However, oftentimes they're not aware of how they can change how others feel. Children with social cognitive deficits may not be aware that their own actions and or reactions affect others. Explicitly teaching them and demonstrating this would allow them to see how their actions impact others. So this is how perspective taking is taught. After children are taught perspective taking and truly understanding those dynamics, children can move on to physical presence, which is the main focus of my presentation today. What exactly is physical presence, you may ask? Physical presence, as described by Michelle Garcia-Winner, is the source from where interaction and conversation develop. It is a gateway to forming interactive relationships. It encompasses appropriate proximity, and it encompasses using one's body to establish and or communicate a physical presence within the larger group. Teaching physical presence is also something that must be done explicitly. One way to do this is to have children observe large groups. An example would be in a middle school setting. In a middle school setting, we may have children observe large groups during lunch and during nutrition. Have them take notes and discuss during our social group what is it that they've noticed. In certain experiments where this was done, children noticed there was a certain head location. There was a certain way that individuals entered and exited the group. There was a certain way the body moved, and there was a certain way that large groups socialized together. These rules are not obvious, and we must teach our children how to use those rules in social settings. For younger children, they may not have the opportunity to observe large groups such as. So a great idea to teach this technique is actually to either video record them in a social group setting and have them observe how they are interacting in a large group and how this can be improved. Also, we can use videos from their favorite shows, something from Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, cartoons. All of these real live clips can help them understand a little better how people interact in large groups. What are the skills and what specific things do we notice about the members of the group and the group as a whole? As I previously discussed, whole body listening. Whole body listening is absolutely encompassed into physical presence. When we are part of a group, we are demonstrating that we are listening. We can only be part of the group if we are listening. If we are part of that larger group, we use our whole body listening skills to demonstrate how that is done. Again, having children observe how this is done in classrooms, nutrition or lunch, or by watching video clips is a great way to have children truly delve into physical presence. One area that is also important to teach in physical presence is to teach the body language. As I mentioned earlier, children in middle school who have been observing their classmates during lunch and nutrition have noted that there are specific things that are done with the body when people are welcomed or entered in a group. One of them is our shoulders and our chest. When there is a group and we are in a conversation, it is common for us to have a closed knit. We have closed chest, closed shoulders. When somebody enters a group, we very subtly open our shoulder, turn our chest, and turn our head, and focus our attention on the person entering the group. And this body language is very inviting, okay? These are very subtle and natural things that many of us do. But for many children with social cognitive deficits, these are not obvious and common things they do. So we must teach them that when they are in a group and somebody walks into a group, the appropriate thing to show welcome is to turn and open our chest slightly and subtly, in our shoulders, and turn our head. This is a way of welcoming one into the larger group. Standing in a fashion that is this way, somebody comes into a group, this tells the person, maybe we are engaged in a private conversation. Maybe this is not an opportunity for someone else to enter the group. Children must be taught that this is also okay. If one of our children, one of the children in our social group happens to walk up to a group and that they do not get the open chest, open shoulder model, they would have to use proper language to enter the conversation, and that proper language would be something such as, excuse me, I would just like to say, and so forth. That would be an opportunity for them to either A, enter the group, and then they can also use their other skills, making guesses. Are the members of the group, is their body language, are they showing clues that demonstrated that they're welcome into this conversation, or is right now not a good time? It's not a good time, and what needs to be said is an imperative. It can wait. If it is impairment, as I just stated, a simple excuse me would be an appropriate way to enter the conversation and say the important topic that needs to be said. Okay. Another important skill that needs to be taught in physical presence is the concept of proximity. Now, this varies culture by culture. However, in the United States, the average level of distance between two communicative partners or a group of communicative partners is an arm's length. Teaching our children this role can help them develop better social skills. Oftentimes, children with social cognitive learning challenges have problems establishing proximity. They are either very close or too far away. A good way to teach this skill is to have children practice it. One way to practice with young children is to have them stand on a carpet square and have somebody else approach them and decide when is it too close. Have them describe how they knew it was too close. What did they feel? Another way is to have children hold a hula hoop. By holding a hula hoop around their body and maneuvering their way throughout a group of people or a group of classmates, they are able to learn and have a visual for the appropriate proximity between communicative partners if we're talking, or simply individuals in the same room. Proximity is important not only when we are talking, but also when we are walking through crowds. So having these concrete examples and teaching these concrete ways will help children with social cognitive learning challenges be more aware of proximity and what is appropriate. This is actually my favorite portion, and another very important point that is made about physical presence is the idea of talking. Often in the therapy room when we are working on therapy, our children are seated at a table. Does natural talking and conversation truly occur as we're sitting on a table? Most of the time it does not. We are walking, we are talking, we are moving about, we are multitasking. It is very important that we teach the children we are serving the ability to talk and move. That we do not want to create a talking head. That is not what interaction is about. So we need to teach children that when we can have conversations standing and what an appropriate stance looks like. How in a larger group we may stand in a certain way. We are conversing by standing like this. I can walk to class. I have to shift my head back and forth as I'm walking and talking. We need to provide ample opportunities for children to practice talking and conversing while moving. not a talking head model. Extremely important for physical presence because, again, interactions generally occur in our natural environment while we are in motion. We are not sitting at a kidney table. That is not the way that our natural interactions occur. Okay, so earlier I talked about approaching a large group. Possibly this large group that is being approached are classmates or people that are familiar to the speaker. However, how do we approach individuals that we do not know? Oftentimes individuals with social cognitive learning challenges have problems addressing individuals they are unfamiliar with. Providing ample opportunities, again, outside of the therapy room to use these skills that have been taught with familiar classmates, friends, or family members, and transferring those skills into the outside world with unfamiliar clerks or employees or safety personnel is imperative. Providing those opportunities, and as a therapist, being there and assessing and having our students self-assess is an important part of establishing physical presence, not only outside of the therapy room and school, but into the community. Finally, a very important part is being part of a group with body and brain. So once children or middle or adolescents are taught skills that we've been discussing, they have the ability to be part of a group. They have the open shoulders, the chest, they understand that, they know how to use excuse me when the body language isn't there, they know what whole body listening looks like, proximity, all these areas that we've discussed, they're able to make guesses. However, sometimes individuals with social cognitive learning challenges have a hard time staying in a group and staying focused. So this brings us back to being part of our group with our body and our brain. To truly be part of the interaction in group, our brain needs to be there. Our body also needs to be there. Oftentimes in therapy, I'll notice that some of the children that I was working with social cognitive learning challenges would get up in the middle of the therapy session and just go out and get what they needed. They might have left a book on the side, or they saw a therapy activity they liked, or they saw a toy they liked, and they left our group. So I began using Michelle Garcia Winner's Play-Doh model, and I have a model here that I will discuss. And in the model, the larger piece of Play-Doh is the adult. These are the other members of the group, okay? When my student, let's say pseudonym James, left the group, I would roll off the Play-Doh. Oh, we've lost a member of our group. By having the model, the visual note, the children would know that we are not cohesive. We are not part of our large group. When James would see this, he'd say, hey, I want to be part of the group, and he would join the group. Oh, sorry, James got lost. He would rejoin the group, and we put back the Play-Doh. We are now a cohesive group. This was very successful, and again, it provides a visual to teach children what being part of a larger group looks like. So now suppose we're all part of the larger group. However, Brian, it is evident, and we are making guesses, that he is not participating. He's not interacting with us, and his brain actually doesn't seem to be part of the group. Well, in this case, what we do, we take apart the Play-Doh. This is Brian's body, but this is Brian's brain. Even though your body is there, if your brain is gone, the group is incomplete, and a big part of Brian is missing. So it is very important that when we are in groups, we are there both in body and brain. Once Brian has joined us and we're able to make guesses, and Brian is able to demonstrate through his whole body listening that he is part of our group, we put back the Play-Doh. excellent visual for children. Again, children need to be provided with ample opportunities, especially children with social cognitive learning challenges. So finally, the therapy topic, establishing physical presence, encompasses teaching physical presence explicitly by using videos or having children observe, using whole body listening and explicitly teaching that, talking about our body and how our body looks when entering and exiting groups, using the concept of proximity, and teaching practical activities that can have children truly understand what appropriate proximity looks like, and transferring all these skills into unfamiliar settings. Generalization is a big portion of this therapy program. I also the Play-Doh example provides us with a visual and is a very successful way of teaching children how being part of a large group means being there physically, being there mentally, and how when one part of our group is missing, our group is not complete and it is not the same type of interaction. Thank you very much, and I hope you have learned a great deal about my therapy topic, physical presence, out of Thinking About You, Thinking About Me by Michelle Garcia Wynn.